Will your holiday gift bring joy and harm? Hi, I'm Bernice Hunt, and I am a brain health specialist. I work with women just like you who are starting to notice a few memory issues, and I help you to stay sharp so that as you age, you can still travel, have fun with your grandkids, and experience new adventures without missing a beat. As a grandmother and a great-grandmother, I know how much joy people get from getting gifts. And as a wellness coach, I know that they can also be harmful, especially to kids. Now, did you catch my last video? A few days ago, I did a video on Halloween toxins, still on my Facebook page and my YouTube channel, so go there if you need to. But since the holidays are coming upon us, I thought this would be a good time to talk about toys, especially safety when it comes to toys. And by that, I mean non-toxic toys. So today I'm going to talk about what isn't safe and what is a lot more safe when it comes to buying toys for your kids, because some toys actually have toxic chemicals. Now, we all know we can't avoid everything that's toxic in this world these days, but we can do what we can to reduce the exposures that we have toward toxic chemicals by making conscious decisions. Believe it or not, a toy can be on a shelf in a reputable store for months and even years before it's identified as being bad for your child. There are 80,000 chemicals presently in this world now that we're using, and most of them have not been studied and they have not been regulated. So what's on your shelf at your favorite store is not necessarily safe for your child. Did you know that one child is treated in the emergency room every 3 minutes by a toy-related issue? So there's a toy-related problem is why that child is in the emergency room. And that happens one child for every 3 minutes here in the United States. Also, most of these problems are preventable. And because the child is growing and developing, kids are at an even higher risk when they get exposed to toxins. In fact, they say that 30% of the developmental disorders in children are caused by toxic environmental exposure. And so when we're talking about toys, our major concerns are lead, plastics, foam toys, the paint that's used for toys, and also recycled toys. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Okay, now regarding lead. Lead, if it's ingested, if it gets inside of you, it can cause nerve damage, learning problems, and irreversible brain damage. And here's the deal. You can't tell if someone has lead poisoning. You can't see the symptoms here. If you have a concern or you think that something might be going on, you have to take them to the doctor and let the doctor look them over, and they have to be tested. So a lot of it goes unrecognized for a while. Now, the United States does restrict the amount of lead that can be in toys, but here's the deal. A lot of the toys we get come from China. They're imported from China. China is the world's largest manufacturer and exporter of toys. And over 70% of the toys that we have worldwide come from China. And guess what? Many experts say that you'd be better off getting your toys from Canada, the European Union, or even here in America than China, because China has been shown by certain countries, Italy is one of them, to have higher levels of heavy metals, lead, other toxins, phthalates that harm children. They have shown to have higher levels. In fact, the Mattel company had to recall some of their toys, I guess, that they make in China, because they were testing 11% lead, which was 180 times more than was legally allowed here in the United States. 180 times more. That is not a good thing, guys. Also, the paint. Paint often has lead in it, especially if you're buying the jewelry that's been painted, fake jewelry, the Mardi Gras necklaces and all those kind of things, or the cheap children's jewelry. You really have to be careful of that, especially if the child is putting it in their mouth, where those toxins can leach out into their system. And if the product has been made before 1978. I know that seems like a long time ago, but that takes us to recycling toys, because if you recycle toys, really cute thing, hand-me-down toys, give your toys, and the toy was made before 1978, there's a higher chance that it has what they call forever chemicals in there. They have things in there that the restriction was not as strict back then. And so they may have things in there that are still in there that are not good for your child. So lead, you need to be careful with lead paint as well. So some states do restrict or ban the toys that are made with lead, but the thing that they're hopeful about was they're hopeful that Congress will pass a law that requires testing of all imported toys so that we will know right off the bat if they have too high levels of these toxins in there before our children start using them. Okay, the next thing is plastics. Plastics are kind of complicated, so if possible, just say no to plastic toys. Okay, now there's 3 kinds of plastics that you really have to be concerned about, and so it kind of behooves you to know what's what when it comes to plastic. Basically, you want to look for the number 3 and number 7. Do not buy number 3 or number 7, because those are not the plastics you want in terms of the toxicity that's in them. Also, as we just talked about a few minutes ago, if it says made in China, whether it's a plastic toy or a plastic water bottle, whatever it is, you may want to be a little wary of that too. Okay, that's kind of questionable because, as we said, they have been accused of products from China leaching more toxins than if you're purchased from other places. In fact, there's an article about plastic syringes from China. That was a no-no. Okay, so be a little leery if it's something that says made from China. Also, that they said some of the things that were made from China had at high heat, the plastics were off-gassing. That means the chemicals, the toxic chemicals were coming out or leaching, which means it was seeping through under high heat. And so we're talking, if you have a box with sand toys in there and you lay them out there in the sun, if you have beach balls or other beach equipment that you have laying out there in the sun, or if you have a pool and on the deck you have your little plastic whatever things laying out on the deck in the hot sun, they may be off-gassing, and so you don't want that. And you should know that 100 chemicals that are detrimental to a child's brain can be used in toys, in manufacturing toys. So there's 100 different chemicals that they use that have been shown to be detrimental to your child's brain. Okay, so they've been known to damage your immune system, also linked to cancer. So the bottom line is to avoid number 3, avoid number 7. You don't want anything that has that in there unless it's labeled PVC free or phthalate free. Those things will show you that it's not in there. But the problem is that our country does not make it mandatory. It does not require the toy manufacturers to label the toys with the chemicals that they use. So that becomes a little bit of a problem. That's why I say when it comes to plastic, if you possibly can, just say no, because you don't know. Instead, you're better off to choose things that are made with wood, wool, cotton, those kinds of things. Those squishy toys, in fact, they say in Denmark, they've banned those little squishy toys and taken them off their shelves because when they tested them, 12 out of the 12 that they tested all had toxic chemicals on them. So they just banned that altogether. And so you don't want to be using those or buying those kinds of toys for your kids, especially for your little kids. Recycled toys. Okay, like I said before, hand-me-downs, and that's a cute concept, and fuzzy, woolly, fuzzy, goosey, bumpy for hanging things down. But like I said, back in the day, the restrictions were more lax, and there may be forever chemicals in there that you don't want. So just the rule of thumb is don't hang them down, don't give them the goodwill, that kind of thing, because you don't want kids really playing with anything. It's a hand-me-down. The pediatricians are telling us that the simple toys are actually the best toys for your kids. I don't know about you, but while my kids were little, at Christmas time, before they could ask and beg for the different things they wanted, I would let them play with the wrapping paper. I would let them play with pots and pans. They'd be beating up, the empty Christmas paper rolls. We'd be sword fighting with them. So they had a ball with just things around the house. So if your kids, especially if they're little and they're not privy to all these advertisements and whatever, that's the best thing, the way to go. They also just go back to the future with your blocks, puzzles, dolls, role play, dress up role playing and stuff. Those are the best. Simple is better, is what they're telling us, rather than dealing with the toxins that may be in some of these toys. Okay, if you want to buy the toys for your kids, here's 5 tips you should use. Like I said, avoid plastics, avoid the polyurethane foam that's in the toys, avoid the things that the bath toys, those kind of things, the different plastics, avoid the 3 and the 7, that kind of thing, and ventilate when your child is playing with those kind of toys. Let them open the doors, the windows, or better yet, take them outside and let them play outside with it if possible. They get a lot of this ventilation so that off-gassing can be dispersed. Also, keep it out of their mouths, all right? Don't let them chew on things or suck on things. Like I said, go old school with your old puzzles, blocks, wood blocks, and dolls. And also be aware and check for recalls. They will recall, like I said, Mattel we called all those toys, and they'll have that where you can call in or get on a website and look for the toys that have been recalled, and also stick with the recommended age that's on the toy. It's there for a reason. So stick with that recommended age. So that's it with the toys as gifts for today. Didn't mean to discourage you, but we got to be wise, guys. Okay. I want to tell you about my e-newsletter, that my monthly newsletter is coming out next week. So if you're not subscribed to my e-newsletter, I'm leaving the link for you so you can, it's a free service, so you can just sign up for it. And every month you will get recipes and information for your brain health, because your brain's destiny is in your hands.